Oh, it's definitely earned me more money. Just like Decatur, they were paying 70 cents more for summer corn there in August. We were hauling corn 100 mile for 40 cents, and we're making 30 cents, and I wouldn't even known that price was probably on there. I wouldn't have thought of calling Decatur, but when you go to the Grower's Edge page, then it takes all that running around out of it for you.
Good afternoon, welcome to GrainTV. My name is Cody Bills. Today is August 10th. We had the markets moving higher here at the beginning of the week, with corn trading up 17 1/4 cents, soybeans up 32 3/4 cents, and wheat in Chicago here up 13 1/4 cents on the September contract. Keep in mind that on Wednesday we have the crop production numbers. We're also going to have the supply and demand reports out. These are going to give us more of an indication about what yield is going to look like, as it will include the first survey-based results. Secondly, we do have the resurveyed acreage here of the states that were delayed in planting, and that's going to affect soybeans in particular. I think that's one of the reasons why we saw soybeans moving sharply higher here at the beginning of the week. Trading this week is going to be dominated by just the preparation and then the reaction to those two reports. When you look at some important companies out that have their crop production forecasts as well as their yield forecasts out, keep in mind that FC Stone, Informa, and Planalytics here, for the most part for soybeans, all with estimates below the current July USDA supply and demand report. These are the numbers. When you look at the corn yield, you'll notice FC Stone and Informa numbers both sub 168.8 bushels per acre, which is what we saw in the July report on the WASDE. Planalytics, for the most part, is currently in line with the July USDA report. Today we saw a very sharp move to the upside. One thing that you can pay close attention to is this November daily soybean chart. You'll notice that since we closed higher above that 100-day moving average, we had a bit of a blast off here today, rocketing higher, really seeing positive price action here, up above the 100-day moving average. We expected to see some continuation today, but this was definitely a more violent move than really any of us in the office were expecting, but it was in the right direction here. When you look at corn, you'll notice that we're up here. There's a couple things I want to pay attention to. First of all, you have that 20-day moving average. That is going to most likely offer up a little bit of resistance. Secondly, we have a gap right here, just over $4. It's at 402, and then keep in mind, $4 could offer up some resistance, as it is a big whole number. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit of resistance up here during tomorrow's trade, especially after the very directional movement that we saw here today. This morning we did get export inspections out. You'll notice corn, wheat, soybeans all came in within analyst expectations. We saw 804,000 metric tons inspected for export. For corn, we saw 365,000 metric tons inspected for wheat. We saw 151,000 metric tons inspected for soybeans. All decent numbers, nothing outstanding, but certainly nothing disappointing. Keep in mind also that we did see the crop conditions report. This came out after the market closed, came out 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. What we saw here for corn is really about 70% good to excellent, unchanged on the week. You'll notice that it was just more of the same crop conditions here. And I think this is something that we want to pay attention to. Since the July report, we really haven't seen any sort of deterioration in the crop conditions. So that would raise a question mark as to whether or not we would see yield revised at all for corn. Right now, 50% is during the dough stage. That is on par with average. When you look at soybean conditions, you'll notice that we did see a slight increase here in the excellent category, but when you see good to excellent as a sum, you'll notice that we stayed unchanged, 63% good to excellent. That's on par with the same thing we saw last week, so no major changes there. Winter wheat, 97% harvested versus 90% normal, and then spring wheat here, 69% good to excellent, down a percentage point on the week. When you look at weather going forward, it looks as though we do get some more rain here today in the eastern part of the grain belt, But for the most part, it's going to be drier than average this week with some hotter than average temperatures in North Dakota, South Dakota, and the northern part of Minnesota. When you look out extended forecast here, the 6 to 10 day outlook continues to show dryness, whereas you get into the 8 to 14 day outlook, that northern part of the grain belt is going to be getting a little bit more precipitation. So at least for the northern part of the grain belt, a little bit of concerns there in terms of dryness are starting to be alleviated. When you look at the heart of the grain belt, though, it looks as though it's dry with not a significant amount of precipitation here expected, at least out 14 days. So guys, that wraps up today's show. If you have any questions about what we talked about today, please give the office a call. The number is 877-472-4607. Thanks a lot. We'll see you here tomorrow.